attributing causality to success is really bloody hard. Like, it's easier to attribute causality of failure than it is, I think, to success. And I think as well as humans, we tend to value effort more than we value luck. So we naturally want to attribute success to something we did or to something someone did.
I think the first time fund manager, like in the back of our mind, yeah, we want to take a swing and hit it out of the park, but we're also playing not to lose because every loss, even though we're in the venture game, really hurts.
For me, it comes back to prior preparation prevents piss poor performance mentality, or perfect practice makes perfect performance. That type of mentality.
I've got a mate's gone away on Saturday. It's the fella that's got my face tattooed on his arms.
Oh, Jack. We haven't spoken about this for ages.
My mate's got a photo of my face tattooed on his arm, but he actually got it covered up yesterday. He got a full sleeve on his arm and got it covered up and sent me a photo.
Oh, no.
So I was there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years.
It has to go down as the all-time greatest achievement of anyone ever.
Good morning. How are we all?
Awesome as always.
As always.
Hey, Jack Ash, how are you?
Hey, guys.
Yeah, going good.
What have you been up to?
Geez, don't all rush in at once.
Hey, you go, Ash. I chimed in, but I spoke over you last time.
Meanwhile, I went on mute to give him the heads up that you should go. No, things have been good, busy, lots of projects and moving pieces that we're working on. Excited to kind of kick off a pretty big stream of kind of automation and AI integration for us. So yeah, excited. And Aaron's had a haircut.
Is he?
Yeah, I did. Right before Morton, just to
that's
my
right.
summer vibes
What is it, Jack? What's the character? I keep forgetting.
Was it Jimmy
Neutron? There you go, Jimmy Neutron.
Pretty much. But no matter what I do, like I feel like I could wax this front bit down and it would still pop back up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You could just go. You could do a Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a haircut as well.
I think I'm only a couple of years off. Then I'll have to.
You had a cut, Jack.
Yeah, there's no haircut.
Yeah, a tidy up. It's been a big week already. So much stuff. Still got deals coming through, which is good. Which is for strengthening the pipeline for next year. But the founders in the portfolio are still going hard, which is good. No one that I know of is taking their foot off the accelerator.
Yeah, I thought it'd be quieter by now already, but it's like there's a lot of end of year rush on deal flow talking about rounds for early next year. And then, I don't know, just calendar is absolutely chockers for the next 2 weeks with calls. And there seems to be like a bit of a rush to the end of the year.
And then we got West Tech Fest.
Yeah.
I called you yesterday just to, when are you going down again?
I'm going on the Sunday, but only because trying to make use of the Monday before the Tuesday and Wednesdays events.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I can squeeze that much time in just looking at my calendar.
And then when are you coming back?
On the Red Eye Wednesday night, landing Thursday morning.
The Red Eye Wednesday night, okay. All right, well, we can continue our life admin post-episode. Ash is probably just thinking to herself, why not use like a shared calendar and...
Yeah, I mean, I probably just would have booked the flights for both of you and told you what was happening. It would have been easier.
No, it doesn't. That doesn't work. Because we've got so just for the record, I might get this out of the way now. Our Christmas party day, in the afternoon, I need to disappear for a couple of hours, I think during the investor drinks, because it's Jack's kindy graduation. Now, because I went to Matilda's, if I didn't go to Jack's, he's already the middle child. He's already a sensitive young boy. Like, I don't need to perpetuate more middle child problems. So I'm going to dick out to that probably in a reasonable condition, and then I'll come back out.
I still need the brief on this.
What's the brief?
Do you sound like there's supposed to be a brief?
You said there's like for the secret squirrel business.
Oh, for the team. Oh, that's a team activity. Yeah, there'll be a brief the day before.
No, but you got your gumboots
but
and a helmet.
If I need to pack something.
Pack gumboots, a 9-iron and a helmet.
I have one of those 3 things. Guess which one I have.
Yeah, my only slight suspicion is that it's very secretive because it hasn't been organised. But I don't want to be that aggressive.
Oh, it's actually been organised. It's booked.
Okay, so if you can just let me know if there's like I need to pack, that would be great.
I'm just highlighting who amongst us is like the A type that needs all the details.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. Well, speaking of details and clearly no A type of systems processing controls. So Kiki finally has been given a fine in the US. So Kiki, this is an article in the AFR, a controversial property subletting startup backed by Blackbird Ventures will pay more than $230,000 in fines to New York's regulators after admitting to breaking the city's short-term rental laws. The Kiki Club is an invite-only subletting business helmed by New Zealander Toby Thomas-Smith. It was once valued at $42 million, but has changed product direction 5 times in 7 years. On Thursday, New York's Office of Special Enforcement revealed that it had settled its case against Kiki Club after the startup agreed to pay $150,000 US, 3 times the revenue it received for its New York transactions. The article goes on and says, in June, Toby said that New York's crackdown should not apply to his startup. He said, Kiki's goal is to help locals simply cover their rent while they're away, not to hollow out neighborhoods like Airbnb has. So trying to differentiate themselves from Airbnb, which I think is punchy, but probably also makes sense. And we've all got these things that we've said in the past that we look back with a little bit of a grin. I certainly do. But he said 2 years ago, Thomas Smith said that he expected Airbnb to attempt to acquire Kiki by 2025. Airbnb will try and buy us, and we'll say no. We buy you, he told the New Zealand Herald at the time. Got to love the entrepreneurial energy. It was a sign of the times, like a startup raising so much at such a big foul for an unproven product, even though the founder had a lot of energy. Like, anyway, thoughts?
In a way, it kind of reminds me of Uber's launch strategy, which was a brute force attack on legislation. They would happily pay all these massive fines for operating illegally and breaking taxi licensing laws. But the difference was the fines were nowhere near 3 times the revenue. Like
Uber launched a product people cared about.
Exactly. And they had a massive balance sheet of capital to go and do that brute force attack on legislation. Whereas here, this just isn't working.
Jack?
Yeah, I agree with those comments. It's also interesting, like he hasn't thrown the towel. Like, this is like the 3rd country. So like he's the definition of a cockroach. Like, he's not giving up.
Yeah, we often throw around too stupid to quit. But who were we talking to the other day who didn't like us saying for ourselves too stupid to quit and we should change it to...
It was Mikey Metcalf, wasn't it?
Mikey Metcalf, yes. And what was Mikey's good advice? It shouldn't be too stupid to quit. It was... Clearly, us as a team are very good at taking advice and listening to it from our...
I remember it resonated really well, but clearly wasn't as memorable.
Sorry, clarification. 2 of the team got this feedback. Mikey, if you're listening, maybe call one of the other 50% if you want it to be implemented.
Mikey, if you could just message Ash and just remind us.
He did make a very good... make a very good point.
It was a great point.
Toby, you're right, Jack. He's still definitely at it. The article early on said that it's pivoted 5 times in the last 7 years. The art of the pivot is what part of this industry is built on. It's the need to keep pivoting, and he's obviously got a whole lot of cash in the bank and a whole lot of energy, and he's going to keep going. This is venture, and to civilians outside of this space, it all looks a bit bizarre and stupid that, once you fail once, you should just give up, lick your wounds and go and live in a cave. That's not the way success is sort of born. There is a balance, obviously, where, you want to be somewhat irrationally exuberant, but try and find a middle ground of the irrationalness is what leads to success. But I don't think he's going to quit until there's no money left, is my gut feel.
Yeah. And then my prediction is he'll go on and do the next thing and the pattern will repeat.
Ash?
Nothing to add on this one. I didn't love the idea. So,
well, good thing you were on the investment committee, or maybe you would have been.
It probably would have been a really good thing to have Ash on that investment committee.
Another news article today, a company that's sort of at the other end of the success spectrum, which is Culture Amp. There was an article in Capital Brief by Bronwyn Clune, said the broader shift from the backdrop to Culture Amps. So Bronwyn's article talks about the latest round of redundancies, and the way she describes it is it is reflecting a deeper repositioning that many growth stage companies are now being forced to confront. Culture Amp isn't the only company founded before the AI native wave now undergoing this transition. Several of Australia's unicorns, including Safety Culture, Go One, Linktree, and Employment Hero, are all grappling with the same challenge. Canva is the notable exception. Our god of unicorns has seen AI shift early and it's leaned into it. In this case, Culture Amp explicitly linked the redundancies to its efforts to accelerate the development of its new AI coach, relocating staff and resources to push the product forward more aggressively. At a time when tech companies were competing fiercely for talent, Culture Amp offered something no one else really had, a structured, data-rich way to understand how employees were feeling and what would move the needle. It reframed how culture could be quantified and improved. It was, as Blackbird's Nick Croker and other VCs have said in the past, category defining. But we are now entering a different market. The urgency that once surrounded talent retention has faded, replaced by a climate of cost-cutting discipline and restructuring. Organizations aren't just looking to diagnose cultural issues. They're seeking tools that can predict risk, automate guidance, save money, and reduce manual overheads. There's a number of things I want to unpack here, but I think this is going to be more and more common that these larger pre-AI companies that are now using AI to get efficiencies, I think we're going to see a lot more staff cuts.
Agree. Before we get into that bit, Ash, that last part there about organizations aren't just looking to diagnose cultural issues and identify risk, automate guidance, save money, reduce manual. Is that what you're kind of seeing in the corporate world that you're working with?
It's interesting. There are parts of this where I was grimaced and I was like, I don't agree with that. And then there are other parts where this really resonates with what we're seeing. I think it's partly a distinction between people aren't looking to cut humans if they're actually on the journey of AI introduction into their workflow, and that they're actually shifting their workflow and taking on these tools to become more efficient, get better output. So there is a nuance between those. I will say that we are spending a lot of time just talking about the organizational change and change management piece that comes with AI implementation and adoption, and that will cause certain jobs to change and shift. But we've seen this with every technological revolution. So it's not new. Previous jobs will disappear, new jobs will come. We are finding a lot of businesses are asking us to spend time around governance, to spend time around risk, procedures and policies and safety. And that is mainly because those are areas where you write a policy and they really just sit there and aren't leveraged. And so how do you leverage AI in order to make part of that more embedded into culture, more readily available? And I think that is partly where we're seeing it. And that inherently saves money where risk, policy and procedures are more readily available, getting used more, reducing the risk of having to do payouts. And then on the manual overhead, you need less people to implement and overlook these types of areas. So yes and no, but I do think that there are a lot of businesses who are very focused on not going in and cutting 100 heads, but thinking about how can we enable those people to upskill and shift into other roles. If they aren't able to do that, then that has to happen. But we're not seeing the dramatic, hey, we're going to cut 50 heads as soon as we implement this culture. And that might just be a reflection of, the South Australian market at this point. But conversations I'm having in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, is similar. I think that the US and Europe are more around like, let's just cut heads as soon as we can and figure out where we need to hire. I think it's a different mentality.
So, something I think of here, like when I think of workforce culture, I remember these conversations when we used to take groups to Facebook and what some of the team there were sharing, that if you recall back when Facebook got in trouble for kind of manipulating feeds to change the emotions of different like Facebook users, what Facebook found was they could predict things that were going to happen to users long before it occurred. So things like divorces, all these, because they had these unique insights in data. And so then Facebook was able to use that to then essentially manipulate audiences. With something like AI, like I can see a future where if something like GPT or insert your favorite model is being used across a workforce, it's going to have so many insights into the workforce, mood, emotion, energy, culture, data points, that it's going to be able to predict some stuff. So then isn't the next evolution where then that becomes a tool to manipulate the workforce by feeding certain things back, just like Sam Altman is already doing in responses through ChatGPT? So in that world, where does Culture Amp fit? I think they have to shift this way towards an AI workforce. Like, it makes sense to shift their resources. And I think this kind of touches on the topic last week, Don. I can't remember the video you shared who it was, but that conversation around having to fire part of your workforce and fire yourself if you're not growing with AI. I think they're kind of embodying that by this move, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. There's a few things. One, Ash, thank you. I'm still on a calorie deficit approach to life at the moment. And you mentioned the word grimace, and I thought of grimace from McDonald's, and then now I just can't get cheeseburgers out of my head. But putting that aside, Culture Amp as a product, according to a number of people that sort of use it, it isn't all that great a product. But what it provides to especially large corporates with what's that word where you
cheeseburger?
No, what's that word when you're uncertain, like, but in a negative manner? God, my brain, have I got Alzheimer's?
Pessimistic?
Oh, this is unbelievable.
Ambiguous?
No, when you
bureaucratic.
No, you're not sure. You're not sure of yourself. This is
uneasy.
Yeah.
Interior.
When you're not self-assured.
Oh, not incoherent.
What's that word?
That's us.
There's a whole interesting.
Oh my God, it's in my head.
My brain can't find this word. When you're like insecure.
Right. Insecure. That's it.
Culture Amp is very good at giving insecure HR and other managers sort of where do I fit compared to my peer group. Like this, Culture Amp's network effect allows you to say, here's how my culture is going versus other cultures on an anonymous basis. That's where the network effect is. The more people that joined Culture Amp, the more data that was there, the more you can say, oh, here's my company, here's where we're at. The actual product itself has a range of things that people think that could be improved on. And within that, what I think we're going to be seeing is I think with this AI tooling and this AI revolution and whatever else, you're going to sort of be less worried about what's happening elsewhere and more worried about what's inside. And I think that just dovetails with what you're saying, Aaron, that having some tools to better integrate with the other tools, whether it's email, messaging, whatever else, to actually get the vibe. But that's a slippery slope, isn't it? Imagine the Glassdoor reviews. They're going to start to come out where Culture Amp or some other tool is actually giving like a heat vibe to management, and next minute you get a tap on the shoulder to talk about your attitude or your mental space or your whatever else, because it's always listening. This is going to be a really interesting space there.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, the more technology just becomes ubiquitous.
I really don't want it integrated into my chat. Please.
I just asked my GPT, based on our conversations, what can you infer about company culture? And it can give you a pretty good outline.
Okay, give me.
You need to share, Ash.
Well, I didn't do it for Tribe because we've only just got the Tribe account. So you have to have like the Teams account where you've got obviously multiple people putting inputs in.
Does it return to something like if you gave them an enema, you could bury them in a matchbox or something?
No, it's probably a little bit nice.
There's like companies like Culture Amp adopting AI and not needing the head count. And I think that's going to get more and more. But I looked at one of the operating units in the family office group, and there's a part of it where there's 3 people doing something that humans shouldn't be doing anymore. But when you sort of investigate why there's not been even curiosity to do that, when you're either doing too well or like cash flow is just absolutely not a problem and you're growing, and then the people inside, like the business itself, has no demand from its customers for anything AI, I did reflect that there are going to be these pockets where these new tools don't touch for a very long period of time because there's no impetus to actually touch it. Someone like a Culture Amp, who, unicorn valuation, probably still burning cash. I don't know. Maybe they're profitable, but they're going to have the weight of expectations from investors on their shoulders. That weight of expectations flows down into culture. But there's going to be a lot of companies where that weight of expectations doesn't lead to these things. And I actually think there'll be parts that will be surprised in 5 years' time. There'll still be people manual data entering into an old school ERP system when an agent could have done it years ago and done it better without the errors.
Yeah, I mean, how many pitch calls do we still have today, like the one yesterday, where the biggest competitor is paper and pen? Like fast forward 5 to 7 years, it'll be, people are still using non-agentic tools, and we're bringing in this agentic tool to solve this.
But Bronwyn's article also ends towards, I think what she's saying there is that companies aren't just looking for this particular tool. I think she's doing a call out to say, what about all the other tools that a culture and a company needs? And I wonder if that's then flowing into the revenue, which then comes back to this whole verticalization and this constant issue that we're looking at. And I had someone message about last week's episode about the safety culture discussion. This move to verticalization of bringing in what was once horizontal functionality and moving it vertical. I think that's what culture amps are going to have to do, but I actually think they're better placed now than many other changes, because if you've got incumbency, you've got the channel. If you've got the channel, you've got the customers. If you can then just find some half-bright people to implement the new tools, you then can really use that incumbency as a superpower, whereas prior technological changes, incumbency was a problem. And if I think of Helmer's 7 powers, counter-positioning was one of the 7 powers. But I just wonder, and I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, Jack, is counter-positioning a stronger thing these days, where you have these big Goliaths with the resources to bring on the talent, to bring in AI functionality and tools to do the thing that the startup used to do? Now they can do it easier.
Yeah, I think counter positioning only holds true if there's like a structural advantage that's stopping them from not being able to do that, what the startup can do. So I think like the example was Kodak, and like the incentive inside the organization was limiting them from pivoting. So I think that still holds true if the Goliath is structurally disadvantaged to doing that. But I think like now the cost of doing that is so cheap, but there's still a human incentive that could limit it.
No, that's a good point.
I was just thinking, and I think this is in my head, we're in this transition from SaaS to AI, and that is collapsing the amount of tools inside an organization, as we've talked about. For me, Aaron, your point earlier around, well, why wouldn't we just ask, GPT or whatever your LLM enablement is? If you have a AI interface, you have widespread enablement across your organization, and you have the ability to add a layer of questioning with anonymizing the information in the chats, why do you need another tool? I just think that like this is a real question they should be looking at internally. And I understand, Don, it's the peer-to-peer, but I think you can figure out how to bring that in. I don't know.
No, it's a really good point. So with this little podcast, there are 4 apps currently, and I need to disclose to you over the holidays, I need to do some upskilling, because actually it looks like I only need 1 app. So what are the 4 apps? Riverside is what we're recording at the moment. I then put it into Descript to do the editing via Word doc, and then it's got a whole lot of other things. I then put it into Audacity because I like to do a final audio change sometimes, and it's just the way that I know to do the intros and the outros. And then it's uploaded to Podbean as our hosting device. Now, the other day I was asked onto a podcast to, God, my brain really isn't working. What do you do when you, it's not mediate.
You're asked to talk on the podcast?
No, I was
moderate?
moderate.
Facilitate?
Yeah.
Facilitate?
I wonder if all this health checking that I'm getting done is actually reversing.
Do you need
Really,
some,
really seems to be helping your performance.
maybe need to consume some calories to fire the brain?
Maybe that's that. But I was invited, and so it turns out I didn't realize Descript now has full Riverside capability inside it. We've just got to upgrade, you've got to change a few things, but it looks like we can record in Descript, but I just haven't had time. Again, this comes back to last week's discussion that on one hand, you can fire the people. On the other hand, it may not actually be the people, it's the process that's not allowing you to get the long-term changes in place. Then when I log in, Riverside now actually are doing podcast hosting. So we could get rid of Podbean potentially. Now, the thing is, I don't know then how to migrate the whole channel and all of those things. I've got to sort of look into it. But there's now like our Podbean account, because it keeps growing, like I think last month was $180. Riverside's $70. Descript, because it uploads to the cloud, it's been $100. Like there's hundreds of dollars worth of spend, which sounds like I should be able to get well down. That's the way the world is moving. And why are all the systems doing that? Well, everyone's trying to get to the top level, and the top level is the content creation, right? And I bet you these things will then start with then the outline creation as well, like we do with our show notes. But that's what the fight has been. Everybody's moving up where the editing platforms wanted to then be the recording platforms, and now they want to be the hosting platforms. That's the world we're heading into. And these are the additional lenses that we have to take when we're evaluating our investment opportunities. We've got to look horizontally at competition, and we've got to look vertically of where things fit into the stack. And on one hand, it's exciting as hell. On another hand, we've really got to be on the top of our game in order to deliver the returns, because we're only going to get returns when we get the really great exits, and we're only going to get the really great exits when really great businesses have been built.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I've been thinking a lot about Helmer's 7 powers, and even what you were talking about before, like counter positioning. I feel like it's temporal. Like I feel like it has a time in which that exists. And I think the captured resource is another one that's just been eroded by AI. And so I think it does come down to who owns the customer, but how do you capture the customer at a point in, not just a point in time, but a point in the workflow.
Yeah, and I don't want to get to the charts too quickly, but one of the things that I've been trying to form in my mind is that for as long as humans have been around and there have been markets, there have been booms and busts. And one of the most dangerous words are always, it's different this time. But we're in the middle of an unbelievable boom, and now all of the companies are like nepotistically investing in each other and keeping the wheel moving. But why won't we have a bust this time is what I've really been trying to get my head around. Like, why is it different this time? And I think I keep coming back to the line of a commodity product with a zero marginal cost subject to competition. The marginal profit ends up at zero. And when we have a look at this AI boom, it's all subject to competition. It has very close to a zero marginal cost. Sure, the world will be in a better place, and we'll have this infrastructure, and we'll have these assets, and we'll have all of these things like every other boom. I actually think that the margin is going to just get absolutely eroded. And like Amazon, these big companies, some of them are going to lose. Again, this is not financial advice. So firstly, and if you've listened to half this podcast already, it seems that my brain is turning to mush. So, but I just see no reason why we won't still have that bust dynamic, which then means you'll have the Amazon type companies that go very close to like 90% lost, wash out all of the people that don't have a long-term sustainable business. And then the economy starts to grow again. And I think it's just accelerating faster and faster. And I think Helmer's 7 powers still ring true. But anyway, that has been taking up a little bit of my thinking recently.
I totally agree with you on all that. I still subscribe to Renee Rivkin. Anytime you hear this time it's different, it's an alarm bell. I think even the co-investment and you look at what OpenAI and NVIDIA are doing and all invested and intersecting across ownership, like to me, that's just another word for a Ponzi scheme. Like I feel like it's going to collapse. but maybe it is different and maybe totally wrong. But I think, Musk's, going back to what you said before, Ash, Musk had a little interview recently. He was talking about the future of the iPhone and phones and why he wouldn't make a phone. And his prediction was within 5 years, the concept of a device will just be a screen that's driven by AI. We won't have individual apps. We won't even have YouTube or Netflix. We'll just have AI and say, hey, make me a series about this, and it'll generate it and we'll watch it. And that's in a consumer-facing application context. But I think what we're talking about here is very similar for B2B, for SaaS products in enterprise, like this concept that AI could potentially replace entire apps, and then the model just drives everything. And I think this is the scramble that's happening right now is how do you compete in that world?
But without wanting into semantics, aren't we really saying there'll be new apps that will still be a software as a service that are integrating all aspects of AI in terms of voice, video, and whatever else that will then create a output and a user experience that replaces the needs for all of those other apps? Like it's still going to be an app or somebody of something of some description.
I think it'll be one app to rule them all, though. I think the model will eventually consume all those apps. It'll just be the one matrix app.
We need to talk. So for a start, I didn't realize you'd started taking advice from Elon Musk. So we need to unpack that. Now that's an interesting. I'm kind of okay.
Does this happen before the robo-taxi done?
Oh, definitely. That's a given.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. There's a fucking adult in the room.
I don't disagree with that, but I can hold both my point of view on Musk and recognize that there might be some truth.
But I think that's probably the direction it's going. And if I think of our latest investment, we are backing really that it is going that way. This is sort of there are some old school aspects to it that they've gone and done a really good job of like bringing it into one ecosystem. But where it's moving is to AI that is voice led, that will then have the old school stuff. So I think in that particular example there, we are riding that wave. And if it comes through, like in order for Musk's vision to go through, the expertise and data sources and whatever else has to be so open that a single thing can go and be the single thing for everything. And I probably don't buy it that at least in the next 20 or so years, at least our fund's life. I still think that there's going to be industry specific relationships, channels, and data sets that give rise to industry specific AI native kinds of tools. And then it's almost like you'll have super apps within that. So yeah, I can get behind the idea that there becomes an entertainment super app that just based on whatever I'm feeling like, either create me something wild or actually I want to go back to watching Magnum PI, so they go and access that. And I can imagine, and it integrates with your socials. I personally think one app is a stretch, but I could be wrong.
I think it's just a question of time. I think Musk is wrong about the 5 years. I don't see that. I think your point about it could be 20 years. Yeah.
Cool. So do we keep going or do we give up? I need some.
Well, we keep playing our thesis, which is we see this event horizon, and hence why we like software wrapped in plastic, and we like durability, and we like things that are looking for an exit in the next 5 to 7. And kind of think about Brad Moran talking about fast track to exit. Like he's looking at things with 3 to 4 years pathway to exit. I think that's the reality of the world we're in right now.
Well, I'll reorder the schedule a little bit then. Or just before Ash, Jack, do you have anything else on? Well, as a slight segue, this article caught my eye for a couple of reasons, but I have a feeling there might be a little bit of luck in things, but some people don't believe in luck. And this article that was in the AFR, the article starts with, the founder of this $800 million company doesn't believe in luck. So it's an article about Fleet Space Technologies co-founder, Flavia Tata Nardini, who moved to Adelaide in her 20s, where she gave up her dream job working as a rocket scientist. As a little girl, she had always dreamed of going into space, but she made the move for love, assuming that she would be able to find work in the space industry in Australia. She had heard South Australia had a thriving defence industry, and to her it seemed like an engineering hub. I thought my experience would be easy peasy, she tells the Australian Financial Review. I realised Australia didn't have a space agency, there was no space companies, and universities didn't have any space programs, and I couldn't work in defence because I wasn't Australian at the time. Her experiences with entrepreneurship had only been negative to date. Her father had lost all of their family's money on failed business. But if she wanted to work in space, she had no choice but to start her own business. Today, her business Fleet is worth more than 800 million as it changes the way critical minerals are discovered using satellite data and works with NASA to map the subsurface of the moon to find water. So how did Tata Nadini navigate Fleet through two moments that could have been near death to the company, while also going through a divorce, the death of a parent, and enduring a 7-month stint in a wheelchair? It's actually a podcast, which I haven't had a chance to listen to, but I will. But then they do an interview. And so I'll put a link to it to listeners so they can listen to the full podcast. But the question was asked, how much of your success is due to luck, timing, or hard work? 90% is hard work and discipline, she said. If you want to win the gold medal, you wake up every day, you run, even on the days you don't want to run. So discipline is everything in entrepreneurship. Timing is a lot in entrepreneurship. I think hard work gets you closer to the right timing. I don't believe in luck. So firstly, a call out for an amazing story, building an amazing business in an emerging space, pardon the pun. And so absolute hats off to her, what she's built. And Adelaide continues to be an absolute space hub. Yeah, thoughts on what she's got there and thoughts on luck?
Love Flavia. She's a hilarious character, and this doesn't surprise me in terms of how this has come through. I will be moderating her on a panel next week, actually. On Thursday, DSD's got a big event on. Both Jack and I will be up on stage, which he's so excited about, in front of 100 plus people, which I didn't tell him until he'd already committed. But I very much resonate with the view on luck. For me, it comes back to prior preparation prevents piss poor performance mentality, or perfect practice makes perfect performance. That type of mentality, and Flavia comes from an athletic background, being a professional basketball player in Rome for a large number of years, and so she's done this both athletically and in the entrepreneurial space. So I think it is a mentality set. I do think timing and market conditions are things that, yes, you have some control over, and reading the right things can help you. But I do believe in luck, in terms of there are things you can't control. And if you've done everything in your power to control the controllables and put your first step forward, that sometimes can't even be enough. But I agree that it is 90% hard work and discipline, and there's probably 5 to 10% of luck and good energy and karma that plays a part, in my opinion.
Jack?
Yeah, I agree with those comments, Ash. I think in professional sports, it's definitely more hard work influencing the outcome than luck. In business, I think luck probably has a bigger percentage if we're doing it on like 100% scale. And then I look at luck like there's both good and bad luck. So you can still have someone that is the exact same operator, but then wrong time. And I even think you look at NVIDIA, if Jensen started 10 years prior and then therefore finished 10 years earlier, he would have missed the whole AI boom. And all of NVIDIA's growth is off the back of this AI boom. They just would have been the chip company doing stuff for video games. So I think in business, luck does definitely have a big influence, but you can't rely on luck.
Is that luck though, or is that him reading the market and understanding when to push the throttle?
Well, I think if you look at the whole wine continuum, you got to chunk it down into its bits. So a bit like Bill Gates has always said, if he was born 5 years earlier or 5 years later, where was the personal exertion, work, or cleverness in that? With Jensen, once started, there's a whole lot of stuff there that's not luck. That without Jensen being who he is and whatever else, you're not getting that result.
But Jensen could have still built $1 billion company, but luck is probably the reason it's now $1 trillion company.
I think attributing causality to success is really bloody hard. Like it's easier to attribute causality of failure than it is, I think, to success. And I think as well as humans, we tend to value effort more than we value luck. So we naturally want to attribute success to something we did or to something someone did. But this kind of touches on my theme of the week. I kind of see luck smacking founders in the face sometimes and they don't even see it. And I think so much of this comes back to like a sense of intrinsic locus of control. Like the successful entrepreneurs tend to be very much intrinsically driven rather than extrinsically. And so they have these habits and routines and practices and a mindset that means that when luck does come, they make the most of it. But I think even more important is when, like your point, Jack, like luck can be bad. And I think if someone like Mick Dempsey, like when he gave his talk at the Fuck Up Night on the Gold Coast a few weeks back, he talked about these bad luck events that happened to him. But every single time, he, through his actions and his mindset and just belief system, completely turned them around into epic wins. And so I think luck definitely happens, but it is only translated into value on the basis of the founder doing certain things and having a certain mindset.
Yeah, I think it's the interplay, and I think it also changes the outcome a little bit. But it's a funny one where I wrestle in my head. I think really successful founders do a disservice to other founders when they don't attempt to try and acknowledge the things that were out of their control that either helped them or hindered them. Because when you stand up in front of a room having achieved a whole lot of success and then say it was only due to my genius, there was no luck, and only to do with my hard work and only to do with my intelligence, and you put forward that by definition that you can do it too, I just get a bit nervous by that. But I think it's okay to understand that there is often an interplay, like just being born, where you were born, to the parents that you were born to, and then the things that then happened that put you on that train. I tell you what, that is so lucky all of that happened and you weren't born, like insert so many other different places there, because then you're fucked. And it's a bit like the whole conversation around structure is what achieves strategy. And like I've said on the podcast before, with that Last Dance movie about Michael Jordan, and it's all about how Michael's hard work and tenacity and ferocity and all of these kinds of things led him to be the greatest basketballer on earth. But he was still a 7 foot or 6 foot something African-American with the right structure, born at the right time, that had a whole series of things that got him there. So yeah, he worked his ass off. But if he was a 4'2" person missing a leg, born in Bangalore, I don't give a shit how much hard work you put into it. You ain't ever been the world's greatest basketballer. And so I think there's no shame in saying, well, along these lines, I worked my absolute ass off and I did all of these things. And then there were these little points outside of my control, and the definition, according to the Dictionary of Luck, is a success or failure brought by chance other than one's own actions. And I think that's the key thing. I think it's okay to say fortune favors the prepared and the brave. And I worked my ass off and I got myself into a position. And then the wind blew in the right direction for me, and it hasn't for someone else. And then again, I took the bull and I ran with it. And no, I just get to saying that there's no luck in these things and it's only hard work. I don't think they're thinking critically enough. And I think it also then leads to a little bit of, I think you just got to be a bit careful that sometimes I fear that then founders can take certain decisions too far, not realizing that there's other conditions outside of their control aren't actually in favor. And actually for this particular hand, you don't have the ingredients, and your hard work and your intelligence and your genius isn't going to get you out of this thing this time. And if you don't have a frame of reference that allows that space, I fear that it can get you into a pickle.
Hi, it's us again quickly.
So these offsites that we talk about, where we get founders and investors in Australia together, what are they all about?
The offsites are really about the frameworks and tools to build a sustainable company in a healthy and durable way. So that's looking at the ingredients for a scalable sales machine, but also the ingredients to navigate the inevitable change and conflict that happens as you are scaling and building a high growth company.
The offsite's really for founders and their teams that have gotten over that product market fit phase. We're bringing our portfolio together with other founders. And so what happens is you get to really learn from a broad, diverse group of people that are all participating together. And a lot of the problems that they're facing before coming in is that they've got revenue, they've got levels of growth, but things just aren't working as well as they previously had, or they aren't going the way they want them to. And by sharing some tools and frameworks, just as importantly, the lessons from all the other founders and investors in the room, they then leave with networks that they can then call upon. You end up with 15 or 20 people that you can call and just touch base and get advice and connect with on that journey.
And as much as possible, we provide those frameworks and tools, but a lot of the insights also come from the fellow participants that are sitting across from one another at the table.
If this is something of interest, shoot us a DM. And enough of that, back to the podcast.
Well, Aaron, you said that luck played a little bit into your theme of the week. So why don't you then kick us off with theme of the week?
Yeah, my theme of the week is the difference between playing not to lose versus playing to win. And for me, this was really apparent. So watching Cruz, my 14-year-old, play soccer this season, and the coach was very much in the mindset of playing not to lose. And just the decisions that he made on the field and how he positioned the kids, it was all about defense rather than attack. But I see it in founders, and there are a couple of founders I was chatting to this week where they've grown marketing and sales to a point now where their team is at 100% fully utilized capacity. And they're like, oh, we need to turn down the sales. We're thinking about actually laying off some of the sales team. It's like, wait. The opportunity is go and scale, put on more team, build capacity. But the risk of that is where they fall down in their decision-making. And so where I see this play out for people, like the difference between playing not to lose versus playing to win, is when decisions are made where they're conflating the how with the what. Like, should we do this or not? Like, should we go to Europe next year? Well, we don't know where we're going to stay on night 23, therefore we shouldn't do it. Like, versus make the decision, then work out the how. And I think this is where successful entrepreneurs are very good at dealing with ambiguity and uncertainty. They step into the decision not knowing the how, but work that piece out after. And so I know it's something now that it's in my mind, I see it more and more.
But have they had a really difficult road, and now they're sort of just coming out, and it's almost like a PTSD thing where they just can't.
Totally.
Their nervous system wants a break.
That's exactly 100%. Like there's a pattern of programming there, which is surviving. It's fear-based. The downside is weighted more than the upside. But now, almost like the luck has delivered this opportunity and this time in the market where they are so hotly in demand, but their reaction to it is, oh no, let's play it safe. Let's not take that risk. And I totally understand. When you're a founder, you feel like you've been cockroaching through a winter, and now spring's starting to come and you don't trust it. This could be a false product market fit. I could take on all this extra OPEX and now I'm committed, now I fail. But I think there are ways to structure that approach that still minimize risk. But if you're not playing to win, you are essentially playing to lose. And you know, this is partly where I have Salby's voice always in the back of my head. You've got to be playing for win. You've got to be playing for the upside.
Yeah, I like it. Ash?
But we're not looking at just to touch on that, because I think as a first-time fund manager, like in the back of our mind, yeah, we want to take a swing and hit it out of the park, but we're also playing not to lose, because every loss, even though we're in the venture game, really hurts.
I totally agree. But what I would say is, so I put that more in the category of long-term. So we're making decisions for long-term rather than short-term. It is playing not to lose in the portfolio in that sense. So we're not taking big swings, for hitting massive home runs out of the park.
Kiki pre-revenue stuff at a 42 mils out.
Yeah.
But is Kiki taking it to win? Because if the entry price is high, you're therefore saying the return isn't going to be as high?
Not so much that. It's just more we're not doing like that real high end, like that real risky. It's not validated, no product market fit yet. We like the founders. Here's
that makes sense.
Here's $6 million. Go off and do it. We're sort of probably more. We're still taking.
I see your point though, Jack. Like what you're saying is a founder could take this to mean, oh, I should swing at every ball and hit for the fences in every shot. I can see how, I can see how it can be interpreted what I'm saying. But I think if it is always coming from a place of risk and downside rather than upside, and I do think this is partly Aussie culture as well. But yeah, I can see your point there, Jack.
I think it.
I sort of think maybe it's just different for fund managers than it is for founders, and that they don't have to be the same. I think like it is so hard to get a fund off the ground in Australia, and founders are probably feeling the same way. But like there is more capital for founders than there are for early stage fund managers, like hands down.
Yeah, until you get your flywheel going,
and then you get access to all the instos.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like in cricket, I guess what we're trying to do is make sure every shot is at least a 1, but we're probably going for more 4s on the right ball rather than just trying to slog every ball and try to slog every ball as a 6. Because that's where, okay, you might get to 100 real quick, but you could be out and then you're fucked. And I think that
fund management's a test match versus 2020.
I was going to say exactly that. This is a test match, and we probably won't be measured by the ones we block and don't hit or let go through to the keeper. But in essence, that is actually the performance is in what we say no to.
Yeah, no, it's a good. I think there is a nuance, and then to me, it's sort of like you can still swing for the fence. Like we had a pitch yesterday, and they did the same thing. They hired a whole lot of money. They raised a whole lot of money. They put on, what was it, 30 salespeople in the US, and then had to sack them all because they didn't get product market fit in time. Now, is that swinging for the fence or is that stupidity? Is that you can still swing for the fence and, I don't know, put on 5 and start to get your product market fit in place and then go bigger? Like what like that to me, there's a difference between I took a risk versus I abdicated any sense of risk management. Hope was my risk management strategy. And I ignored every pattern around the world that says that this is a bad idea and thought that I was special. And I decided to do it anyway. So is that really taking a risk or what is that?
No, but I think playing to win is still making the right smart choices. Like that is part of playing to win. It's not just throw caution to the wind and hit everything. I think it's like to use a sporting analogy, basketball players taking 3,000 practice shots on hoop for the per one shot in game.
This has come back to prior preparation prevents piss poor performance, in my opinion. Like these are interlinked.
Which is your one, Ash. When you take it over.
Yeah, I just think that there's so much market timing that we are constantly talking about with the phase of the market we're in, both from an AI and a SaaS product market fit perspective, from a hardware perspective, from a pure SaaS play. And I'm just seeing this play out, and it's people are, because of the hype market we're in, they are not thinking about, so it's not even a test match. Like they're not even thinking about the one-day match. They are just vibe coding. They are putting crap into the market, taking a swing, and not doing any of the prior preparation to think about the strategic direction, how this plays out. Once you get product market fit, where does this go? How does this fit into the market? And I'm at the point now where if I get a pitch deck in my LinkedIn, I'm just not even opening it because there is just so much garbage coming in because it's not thoughtful. And yeah, it's the frustrating side of what AI is enabling, I guess, for us. But I just think it comes back to the mix of like strategy, structure, prior preparation. Also, like the amount of pitch calls where people aren't prepared for you guys frustrates the living daylights out of me. Like if you have gotten to the point where you're getting on a pitch, be prepared, come ready.
Especially when we've given a video on how to do a great pitch.
Like you guys are way nicer than I would be. Like if I got on and they were not prepared, I would end the call in the first 2 minutes. I just be like, great, come back when you're ready.
part of me likes that idea, Ash. Part of me worries about our NPS score with founders, but I get broadly where you're coming from.
Oh,
The
it's
only
the
other thing
North American in me coming out. I'm just like, see ya.
There's also a lot of founders that really struggle to communicate that are still highly effective entrepreneurs who build great businesses. And that's where I kind of get stuck in the, okay, is this just a spectrum issue?
Yeah, we've got to be careful with babies, bathwater, all of those things.
That's why you guys do the first pitch call and I'm only brought in once it's
But I think your theme is right, Ash. And even for me, like there are opportunities that sometimes just get lost because we haven't done the boring, mundane preparation stuff, and therefore you're not in a position to execute it. And I shared yesterday with the example of a property deal I know somebody's done that has managed to get venture return status in a couple of years. That comes from a foundation of preparedness and having their house in order and being there when that opportunity came along. Now people will look at that and go, wow, you got lucky. Well, there was probably a little bit of that around timing, but 90% is still the preparation. Now, sure, the luck is this thing came along, but without the preparation and the hard work prior, you actually need both. You need those joined. And that's what I'd love entrepreneurs to really embrace, is to put their arms around. It's like, no, it's both things, and I welcome both things. And yeah, I like that one, Ash.
Don, we need a house update.
So getting the quotes in. So Ash is referring to the house that I'm moving from one property to another.
That will be cut in half and put on a truck and moved to another location.
People down south find this really, really difficult to understand, that us in Queensland.
Because we use bricks.
Yeah. But I'm getting a security system installed in it up there, and just keeping an eye on it because there's a few hooligans doing Matt Stowies in the gravel that I'm a little worried about.
See, there's a risk, Ash, that someone else comes and takes the house.
Have you got it insured? That might be better.
Well, this is the thing: you can't actually insure an empty building. So one of the things I have been contemplating, if it's been vacant for more than 3 months, your insurance is null and void.
Put one of the kids there.
Yeah, I am thinking of finding someone that just wants to have a free place.
Have you just put it on the house sitting apps where people will house sit for free, and all they have to do is like mow the lawn or look after a pet.
Do I have to have furniture for them?
Buy a blow-up mattress. I'm sure there's some backpackers who would take it.
And then probably burn it down, which is what I'm trying to avoid. But yes, well,
why don't you just?
Well, there's a good example.
Why don't you
Jack.
just cut it down?
Yeah,
Can you just cut it in half? Why can't you just do it?
So what happens is they cut it in half, but then you've got to frame. You've got to do some strengthening work inside, because if you cut a house through the middle, you're probably going to have some structural problems. So they frame it all internally. Then they jack it up, and then a truck comes with these specialist things, and they drive underneath, and then you put it down, and then he drives it. So it takes a little while, Ash. Now, was it luck that has led to me getting a free house, or was it my genius and hard work?
I will say that it's probably a little bit of a mixture. I'll give you a little bit of credit on this one.
Exactly.
Don, I heard it was a house and a ute.
No, that's moving out of luck jacking into abusing a position. So that
Aaron, you're not on mute, by the way. We can hear you tapping.
every time you type down, we can hear
Aaron's taking notes for the future.
I was trying to remind myself the name of the guy on Silicon Valley series who owned the house and it became an incubator for startups. That's what I'm picturing you starting with this house, Don. It's like this living incubator for founders.
Yes.
So I suppose following on from last week, the theme was like when you're in the trenches, zoom out, because Louis was sick. It was like a really tough week. Then
now he's sick again. Now he's sick again.
No, he's not. He's actually not. But we've got to really lucky to have a good mother-in-law. She had Louis Saturday night, and then we woke up Sunday morning. It's like, wow, we feel like totally reset. It's actually not that hard. Like ready to go again.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
So we actually had the afternoon to ourselves. We went and got dinner at like 4:45, like so early, and then we were home by like 7 o'clock, and then we were both asleep like before 8 o'clock.
Oh, Jack.
That was your date night.
That was, and it was the best date night ever. Like we both needed.
Oh my god.
That
needed that.
actually sounds so amazing.
Did you go somewhere nice for dinner?
We just went to
After afternoon tea, maybe?
late afternoon lunch. We just went to like a Chinese restaurant that we got in the city.
Nice. Yeah.
Very nice.
Kids, hey?
Oh, that's good. My theme is try and bring in people early as a partner, not late as a judge. And it's riffing off a few things that have been discussed prior, but it is so hard when you leave people only to be late as a judge, and especially when you put them in positions where you've got to go and deal with others and whatever else. I know it might feel uncomfortable. I know it might feel whatever, but just lean into it. The second something comes up, people actually really want to help early as a partner, not late as a judge.
That's a good one.
Which reminds me, I broke my wife's rear indicator again. So I need to take that advice and let her know. Let's get into some charts, eh? So
Let's do it.
this isn't a chart, this is a table. This is Peter Thiel's 13F for last quarter. What do we find interesting about it?
No NVIDIA.
That's it. He has sold his entire NVIDIA holding. So that's interesting. And this next chart, because Bitcoin has been taking an absolute flogging, but the market stayed high for a little while. But as we've discussed a few times, Bitcoin can often be seen as a bit of a proxy for global money flows. And when it starts to pull back prior to the broader market, that has been a reasonable sign that actually liquidity is starting to fall and the broader market might come back soon. And so whilst this chart that I've got in front is a little old, the S&P this week, I think alone is down. Or is it? So it's come from 6,890 down to 6,600. So it's only small at this stage, but what Bitcoin is potentially starting to flag is that, hang on a minute, maybe we need a little bit of a pause. And sometimes people tend to forget that it's normal for these markets to correct by 5 to 10% multiple times within a year. But it's interesting when it happens, people kind of freak out. But another potential canary in the coal mine can sometimes be PE and listed PE, because PE often is in more marginal stuff, has a whole lot of debt. And when you have a look at the PE index relative to the S&P 500, it for a little while now has really started to pull back. Now, will what has happened every other time, the broader market, catch up with the PE index and come back? And if it does, we would need like more than a 10% correction. And PE often has some pretty marginal debt. And so this chart here is actually splitting up different debt types into triple Bs, double Bs, B minuses, triple Cs. And actually we can see there that the triple C has really, since about June, started to move away from the pricing of triple B. And so some of the riskier stuff is actually flagging we may have an underlying issue here, which at the same time, this is the S&P 500 to CAPE ratio, along with household and not-for-profit ownership of equities. And this is going back to 1980, the percentage ownership of equities is almost at the high going back to the early 90s. It's exceeded the 2000s by a long way, and pretty well everything's up and to the right. But as we see, once the market turns, what humans tend to do is a lot of humans love to buy high and sell low. It's just a psychological thing that starts to happen, and maybe that'll happen again. This was the chart that really got me thinking, like, is it different this time? Are we not in a bubble and actually it's only going to continue to go up or plateau? And I've just been trying to think, why won't we have bubble type scenarios? But somebody went and plotted today's bubble, in inverted commas, back with the 1929 glamour bubble, and on a relative basis where we've just eclipsed the 1929 scenario. Now, these charts should always be taken with an extreme grain of salt, but it just got me, like I said, thinking, why will this time be different? I'd love to know. And if any listeners have a different view, like why is all of this AI tech not going to end up as a commodity product with a zero marginal cost subject to competition where margins start to get eroded? Yes, there will be some winners. Yes, there will be some Amazon type companies that come out that can be the dominant. But across the board, why will we not have a reckoning and a washout of malinvestment like every other bubble? I'd love some other perspectives. Because old Warren Buffett, have a look at his cash. We've spoken about it before. It is now about to hit 400 billion. Talk about an up and to the right. For those at home, like it's gone from 100 to 400 in what, a few years? Like that is incredible.
I'd love to know as a percentage of total capital or total asset value.
Yep.
What that changes.
No, that's a good point. But that organisation certainly is not seeing good value to go and plough all that into. It does highlight the compounding value of wealth. So this is another, this is trailing PE, forward PE, Q ratio, market caps, and a few others put into an average. And we're now the highest since 1901. Now, again, will this mean revert? That's what I'm trying to ask. Now, insiders, so what this shows is insider trading refers to when a company's executive, board of directors, and or major shareholders buy or sell company stock based on non-public information. Being aware of insider trades can help us identify what the insiders are doing. So to reverse anything to do with those last charts, insiders are actually starting to buy a little more. So TL is actually in the minority here. So people in the companies have actually just started to go net positive for the first time this year, whereas pretty well all this year it's been negative. Now, I think it's also important to understand the world that we live in, and this is a chart that shows the number of US domestic listed companies on the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. In 1998, there were 7,000. We're now down to under 4,000. And the other chart that's on here that shows the cumulative buybacks. So here's one of the things that we've got to keep in mind that drive this S&P. There are less and less companies to invest in, with more and more ETFs that just automatically buy them, with more and more companies buying their stock back. So that's why you can't really compare like exact numbers of like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and whatever else. I think that truck noise in the background is my tiles for the pool being delivered. Would you just let me check my security camera of the front of the house? Nope, rubbish bin man. And if this continues, more buybacks with less and less listed stocks, with more and more ETFs, there are different demographics at play here. Like the long and the short of it is don't be cute and think you can short it. I think that's a bad idea. One of the other things I don't think people realize that this is the chart of the Japanese government bond. And for a long time, there was this thing called the yen carry trade. Because their interest rates were negative for decades, or at least very much lower than others, you could go into, if you're an institution, you go to Japan, you could borrow yen, effectively be paid to take it, then go and put it into other assets and make the spread, and then you just have to hedge your currency risk. But have a look at this chart. So since it bottomed in 2018, and their government interest rate has gone from like negative 0.3 to now 1.7%. Now, 1.7% doesn't sound like a lot, but in the context of the rate of change, that is huge. And now there's a whole lot of people having to unwind what's called the carry trade, where you've got to go and sell those assets, repatriate the money back to Japan. So that puts currency pressure on. And so there's always these things happening behind the scenes, these invisible hands. Some call it hard work, some call it luck, but you've got to know what's happening. This is the use of the phrase exponential growth by decade. And for listeners at home, this chart is exponential. Now, I assume they're taking it from like journals or something, but
I love that someone has the time to pull that together.
Yeah. Shall we just do some quick health ones? A weird warning.
Of course.
What do we think this chart is?
I have no idea.
Do you know Brian Johnson, the guy who wants to live forever, who did videoed himself taking 5 milligrams of psilocybin and has done all the blood tests and different things because there's been some tests that psilocybin can actually be an anti-aging kind of thing. This is a chart of his sperm count, motility, percentage motile after saunas when he uses ice and doesn't use ice. And for listeners at home, it seems for men it's better if you have a sauna if you're trying to be reproductive, that you ice a certain region versus leaving the heat, because that's his charting.
I can't work out if this is a useful contribution to society or not.
I don't know. This is, what do we think this is? This is a chart of my cholesterol.
I was going to say, is this you pre and post fast?
No, this is me pre-fast. I've got some work to do. My LDL is very bad. See how the red, like it's red. And my HDL is not good. And my serum try something or other, it's not too bad. But it does highlight I've got to curtail parts of my diet.
What app is that from?
So this is from, I mentioned it last week. What is it? Oh, God. Everlab?
Oh, Everlab. Yeah.
It's really schmick. Yeah, I won't log in now. It's really good. There's like 100 different things now, and it tells you what's on track, what's not on track, and now it sort of gamifies my brain. I'd recommend it. It's trackable. It's all different parts in there. I think it's worth it just for that. And then to end, if you are attracted to both women and men, but neither of them are attracted to you, that means you are by yourself. That's all I could find. What are we looking forward to?
Ash, you're looking forward to that. When's the event again?
Yeah, next Thursday. So we need to move the potty. I have suggested another time already. Yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. Also, yeah, just have a couple of meetings later this week and early next week with some founders who are keen to chat about the mission to the US in March. So yeah, just hopefully we'll get some interest, get them signed up. And yeah, it's going to be a great mission. Super excited to take the group to New York for the first time.
I'm super excited.
I've got a mate's going I've got a mate's going away on Saturday. It's the fella that's got my face tattooed on his arms.
Oh, Jack. We haven't spoken about this for ages. Just to remind listeners.
My mate's got a photo of my face tattooed on his arm, but he actually got it covered up yesterday. He got a full sleeve on his arm and got it covered up and sent me a photo.
Oh, no.
So I was there for, 2 or 3 years.
It has to go down as the all-time greatest achievement of anyone ever.
You could definitely start a cult.
Well, I thought you were going to say he had the tattoo changed to, now that you've got no hair, it'd been modified.
I was telling him, he's going to get Louis next to me. So, it'd be 2 heads. But he ended up getting covered up.
My favourite bit about that tattoo was the teeth.
Yeah.
From memory, they didn't have a middle line through them, did they?
I can't even remember. It was a $200 tattoo, so we can't knock it too much.
Did pretty well. Well, tonight I am going to the Bayside Beekeeping Association monthly catch-up because our bees are almost gone, unfortunately. Varroa mite smashed them, and then we treated it, and then we didn't realise that we had the beetle, which smashed them again, and then we've got some kind of moth. And they reckon the only way to deal with it is to do X, Y, Z and then burn your hive, which, given how much it cost, I'm trying to work out alternative scenarios. But Mackenzie household is a little devastated. Haven't been this devastated until the alpacas died.
This kind of reminds, when Dad had a farm and I just had some cattle on there. Just how did these animals all survive just in nature? It seems to be that they need a lot of help.
But the Mackenzie household has a pretty bad run of animals. So is it bad luck or Don just doesn't look after them?
What was it about luck before?
Excuse me. Any of my successes, luck plays a little bit. I agree. All of my failures, very bad luck. It was just bad luck. And in my defense on the bees, they were actually my wife's project until they started going wrong. And it's amazing how quickly it's now in my realm to fix.
I do remember when you gave me some honey, Libby made a point of it was hers. It was her honey.
Yeah. It's even the sticker on it says harvested by Libby.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to settling on our house next Tuesday. So by next episode.
Wow.
Welcome to Crippling Debt.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm feeling it. So next week is the big move. Well, Friday next week will be the big move. But this weekend will be spent packing boxes, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to because we're doing a big cull. We're getting rid of a lot of stuff.
Are you mentally in a position where you are going to do a proper cull, though? This is, you say these words And then when push comes to shove, do you think you have it in you?
No, I do. My worry was that Maren wouldn't, but she has been bloody impressive in terms of what she has been letting go of and giving away. It does mean that we have so many randos from Facebook Marketplace rocking up to our house to give us $10, where I think, is the risk to my life worth the $10 I'm getting for this item?
100%. I'm so with Myron on this. I sell everything. I currently have like 5 things on Marketplace. I pretty much always have something selling.
I met a guy yesterday in a Spotlight car park. He was clearly in an unregistered vehicle selling a solar charger for my Hilux, which was $70 instead of $500 brand new. Not sure where he got that item, but I'm with you, Ash. Marketplace all the way. Risk. You got a risk a bit of life.
You fell off the truck. It's fine.
It is true. I did think about writing a post, lessons for founders from selling on Facebook Marketplace, because as broken as that platform is and as painful as the experience is, it's got the eyeballs and the customers on it. So you go there.
If you want a story to make you feel better, Aaron, I was driving down High Street Jack in Glenelg, and I saw a TV on the side of the road, and it was like a big TV, and it was about to rain, and I was going to coffee, and I called Tim, and I was like, hey, get out of the house, drive here. We're putting this TV in the boot, and we're going to see if it works. And we do that, and then like it was in Portuguese, and there was no remote until we connected the mouse to it, and I managed to figure out how to change the language, and then the backlight's gone in it. But now we've gone to the point where we've found a remote we can buy for $50. It's going to cost $100 to fix the TV. And we figured out that brand new, it's worth $1,000. So we can now just resell it on Marketplace for like $500. And my mum comes over and she's like, is your time not worth more than this? And I was like, yeah, but this is like what we do for fun. Like this isn't work. This is the fun, how we connect. And she just shook her head. So yeah, that's how far I take it.
There's so many things to unpack there, Ash. But broadly, I give you credit for that.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that, Ash.
It's what we do for fun. I'd love to.
One of many things, Don. One of many things.
So Libby and I we have date night every Monday. So we drove into the Norman. We got 20 minutes into the drive and realized we still had the Wiggles playing. And I'm just like, we're alone. We don't have to listen to this. All right, let's go get some work done.
Sounds good.
All right. See you
guys.
Thanks, Ted.